Hi, welcome to Centerville Reports Today. I'm Maureen Russell Hodson. It has become the signature event of the Centerville-Washington Diversity Council. Of course, I'm talking about the Martin Luther King annual breakfast that's held every year at the golf club at Yankee Trace. Here to tell us more about this event, and it's very exciting because not only do we have two people from the Diversity Council, but also we're going to give you a sneak peek because we have the keynote speaker. We have Sondra Estevez, who is from the Diversity Council, Dr. Herbert Martin, who is the featured speaker and a retired professor from the University of Dayton, and John Graetz, who is also a Diversity Council member. So thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you.
And I have to say, we've never had the featured speaker before, so we're very lucky and fortunate to have that. So before we talk about this event, let's talk about the Diversity Council a little bit. It's been around for quite a while and has a lot of different components, right, Sondra?
That is correct, and you know, of course, our main focus being on celebrating and promoting inclusion and a diverse environment and community. So we're very proud of that.
And anyone can become a member, and we'll give you more information about membership. But if you want to check out the Diversity Council, coming to this breakfast is a great way to meet a lot of people, hear a wonderful message, and really learn more about the council in and of itself. So every year, we have a featured speaker, and somehow, John, you've gotten in the mix with this and really helped pick out the speakers, and you seem to know the speakers.
Sure. For the last 20 years, I've been involved with bringing groups through the South. I'm a teacher, and this is one of our programs that we do is one group studies civil rights every 3 years. And about 16 years ago, Dr. Martin moved into my neighborhood, and so we've been friends ever since. And mostly from the connections that I've built up in the travels and my parents' involvement with the civil rights movement, we've gotten to know a lot of people. And so for the last 5 years, I've been called upon to suggest new speakers, and I've been happy finally to get Dr. Martin behind the podium.
Right here in your own neighborhood,
Absolutely.
has such a distinguished background. Tell us about him and how you decided this was the year.
Oh, well, it's I think it was long in coming,
Yeah.
but Dr. Martin has everything you learn about him is impressive. He's been a poet and a singer and the world's foremost authority on Paul Laurence Dunbar, I understand, and the list goes on and on. Yeah. And so from all of that knowledge, I have Dr. Martin come and speak to our groups every year, and so it was just seemed a natural choice to finally get him behind the podium.
So we're looking forward to having you speak.
Yes.
And when you look at your resume, and my goodness, what don't you do? You have so many talents. How is it that Paul Laurence Dunbar became someone that you were always interested in?
When I was in grade school, I wasn't too interested in him because I looked like him, and I had these horn-rimmed glasses, and so all of my peers thought that he was related to me. And none of us wanted to memorize those poems. So they'd say, tell your relative to ask the teacher not to make us memorize these poems. And I repressed it until I was an adult, because there was no convincing them that I wasn't related to him. Then in 1972, Margaret Walker came from Mississippi, and she read Dunbar. And suddenly I realized, having been told by another poet that I needed an old guy in my repertoire, I thought, Dunbar's the guy. And she read Dunbar, both the standard English and the dialect poems, with such ease that she put us all to shame. So I thought I'd have to go back and remember and relearn how to say those words. So that's how Dunbar became my life study, so to speak.
It's amazing.
So, yeah.
And he's from right here in Dayton, Ohio.
Yes.
So just give us an idea of what we're going to expect to see at the presentation in January.
Well, what I plan to do is to read a number of my contemporaries, poets, whose work may be forgotten now, but I'm also going to start out with reading one or two people like Langston Hughes and Robert Hayden, because they were both influential in my own development. And so I'm going to read a poem by Robert Hayden called Frederick Douglass, and it goes like this. When it is finally ours, this freedom, this liberty, this beautiful and terrible thing, needful to man as air, usable as earth, when it belongs at last to all, when it is truly instinct, brain matter, diastole, systole, reflex action, when it is finally one, when it is more than the gaudy mumbo-jumbo of politicians, this man, this Douglass, this former slave, this Negro, beaten to his knees, exile, visioning a world where none is lonely, none haunted, alien, this man, superb in love and logic, this man shall be remembered, oh, not with statues' rhetoric, not with legends and poems and wreaths of bronze alone, but with the lives grown out of his life, the lives fleshing his dream of the beautiful, needful thing.
Wow.
Wonderful.
It's beautiful. And so you'll be reading
A number
number
of
of different-
poems by African-American poets, women included, so that will bring us full circle in terms of diversity.
And your own work.
And some of my own poems, mainly about the civil rights movement and how each of these poets expressed that moment. I've gone through and sifted through and tried not to find the most outrageous poems, the ones that would send us all screaming from the room.
I don't think that could happen.
But
Well, give us some of your background, because you come about this. You said since 1972 you've been a fan of
yes,
Paul Laurence Dunbar,
yes.
but tell us about your background.
well, I was born in Alabama, and my father began in the middle to late 40s, and we were part of that great migration that came from the South, and we came to Ohio. And my father came because one of his sisters wrote and said, you can make $5 a day instead of $5 a week, and that propelled us to come to Ohio. And I went to high school in Ohio, and then I did my undergraduate days in Toledo. From that point on, I left home and went to New York City and started working, and went to graduate school in Buffalo and then in Pittsburgh, and also in Vermont. So that's pretty much my route towards becoming educated, I guess.
And how is it? You're both teachers. How do we get kids more interested in poetry? And I mean, you're going to read these poems,
Yeah.
and we'll have a large audience of students there. And it seems like maybe sometimes it gets lost, poetry.
Well, partly that is because we tell the students that this poem has to have so much profound meaning.
Okay.
And that puts them at,
Yeah.
that stops them almost immediately. But if you can get them just to read it and reflect on a feeling or a mood or a gesture or a sensibility, they come away with something. And if you can find a way to synthesize what they come away with rather than your own heavy-handed meaning, you get a tendency to keep them interested, and that's what you want them to do.
Much like when you were reading, I was just kind of listening, and I kind of remembered, oh yeah, we're
Yeah.
doing this program. I have to come back to where we are.
Sure.
And if you'd like to hear more, we want to give you information. This is going to be on Monday, January 18th. It is at the Golf Club at Yankee Trace, and you do need tickets. Tickets, how do we go about doing that, Sondra?
So tickets are $20 a piece. You can order tickets at the CWTdiversity.org website. There's also a phone number that will be shown on the screen shortly where you can also call to order those tickets. So we really would love to fill the room. We've done that every year for the past 16 years except for 1 year. So
Well, I was going to say, if you think, well, maybe I'll buy tickets at the door, guess what?
Not
You really
likely.
can't.
right.
You really need to, we're not just saying that, you really will need to get tickets in advance, and you can also bring a table.
Yes.
And I mentioned
Purchase an
before, we
entire
have, I think, representatives from just about every school in the Centerville area,
Yes.
right?
We do. We're very proud of the school's involvement and support of the program, and of course, just getting the message to our young people. And I think it's an honor to hear Dr. Martin and his message. So we're very excited.
And also, I think, too, the pledge that's read,
Yes.
I think is very powerful. And you see people of all faiths and colors and ages just standing up and reading this pledge, and that's so important, too. And the Diversity Council, I know, offers other programs throughout the year, just wrapped up Voices and Stories, right? So if this is something that you'd like to learn more about, I'll tell you, they do Voices and Stories, which typically happens in the fall. Of course, we always have the breakfast, which is this year, January 18th. It does start at 7:30. Probably want to be there before that time. And then there's representation at the Americana Festival every year. And then there's an annual meeting, and I think maybe every other year there's a film and film discussion. So a lot of good things, a lot of good ways really to open up the conversation, right, John?
Absolutely.
You bring your students every year?
Yes, we the schools, every school in the Centerville area is given a table if they want to take advantage of it, and every year we always fill it, and it's really important that we get kids coming out.
So will you be looking forward to talking to the room full of people, I guess, that day?
Yes, to see what I can do.
Well, we look forward to hearing more because this is something, do you have a website if people wanted to learn more about you? Or I know we have a story about you in the Town Crier, but...
Yes, I think you can Google my name.
Aha.
And then all sorts of stuff shows up, none of which I put there. So I'm amazed
Oh.
at so much of it is there. But sure, just Google Herbert Martin, and Lord only knows what will appear.
Well, it's poetry and music.
Yes.
And are you also a singer as well?
Yes.
Very good. And librettist.
Yes, I've done all of those things, or I try to. I'm not sure which one will
Well, what's
work.
your favorite?
I don't know because it depends.
Uh-huh,
The
what you're doing at
Spirit
the time?
the Spirit says, do this now, and that's what I do, and I hope that it works. But I'm never really sure. I'm always thinking I'm making a fool of myself, and so how do you know? You can't judge, at least from
Well, we're
the
judging and we're
inside.
saying we know you're going to be fantastic and,
Always
and
is.
with such an interesting story.
Sure.
Always is.
And the title of your program is going to be called Unacknowledged Legislators,
Yes.
right? 18 Poetic Friendships. So that sounds like you'll be reading poetry, and then will you be discussing it as well? Or?
Well, I'll try to give some lead in, but I don't want to tell people what to think about these poems. And many of them are people that either have been my teachers or they are friends of mine. And so at first I thought I was going to rewrite the American poetic history, but then I thought, no, that's not nice.
Sorry, but no. Well, it's going to be a fascinating program. And again, you want to get your tickets. The best place to go is cwtdiversity.org. You can buy them online, or you can call the number 634-6767, and that will walk you through the steps to order tickets. It is at 7:30 a.m. on Monday, January 18th. This is, as we said, a great way. I'm not sure how you obviously got involved by teaching. Sondra, how did you get involved with the Diversity Council?
I just have always looked for an initiative that I felt I could give back to my community and to help promote inclusiveness. It is a huge passion of mine. I just think the more we can understand each other, the better our communities can be.
Boy, isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Beautifully stated. All right,
Thank
well,
you.
for more information, you can visit the City of Centerville's website, centervilleohio.gov, or you can call us at 433-7151. But again, a great place to come. We hope to see you on January 18th at the Golf Club at Yankee Trace for the MLK breakfast. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for watching, and we will see you next time.